I found some interesting comments from a prison officer in some of the many files that a one Robert Baston has online. Robert Baston or Baston, I think it's Baston. He was brought up at Richard Allen's court hearing. We don't know why, as it didn't go anywhere. They just confirmed that he was an inmate. And some people think he might be there as a witness to the conditions that Richard Allen is being kept in. And some think it's related to the possible confessions. I'm inclined to think that it's the confessions, because they were chatting away about the conditions and he didn't get brought up again. The only two things that got brought up and dropped were his name, confirming that he was an inmate, and Richard's 5 or 6 incriminating statements. It was Richard's defence who brought this guy up, but it was also them who initially brought up the incriminating statements. And it looks like they're just trying to get ahead of it. It's not good though. It's not a good look if this guy is involved in the confessions. First off, background on Robert. He's just a vile, nasty piece of work. He's in for 40 years. I'll put screenshots up here from his appeal. He appealed his sentence. He appeals everything. He's a jailhouse lawyer. He's constantly filing suits against the jail, the officers, like you name it, he's filed it. This guy was actually trying to get a 6-year-old girl to testify. The victim, who is incredibly a brave little girl who no doubt saved other girls from being assaulted, being killed, who knows. The gist of the story is, if you don't want to read it, that he lived with his mother, who had 2 people over. She was having a barbecue and the kids were in the swimming pool. Robert finds the 6-year-old alone. I don't know, was it inside the house or out the back? But he takes her in the car. He drives down the road. He essays her. They're driving back up and he thinks he's safe, as the girl's a bit quiet and she doesn't look like she's going to tell, which probably saved her life. But they get back to the house and they're all panicking back at the house because they've noticed that she's missing, so they're looking for her. She opens the door, gets out of the car and starts running over and starts saying what he did. Robert starts yelling at her. He's like, she's a liar, she's a liar. She turns around, stands up, raises her voice and says, yes, you did, you liar. Her father was there. How he managed to control himself, I don't know. The girl was taken to the hospital. She was bruised and his DNA was found on her and in her swimsuit. So he got 40 years for that. While he's locked up, he's filing all sorts of bogus claims. He asked for the lethal injection into 2018 due to prison conditions. It seems he moves a bit as well from prisons, which is kind of relevant. He hated Westville when he was there initially. He was saying he had stuff stolen, not given the right meds, but careful what you wish for, Robert, because the grass isn't always greener. He next turns up in Wabash prison and he's up to his old tricks again, moaning about everything. He is constantly, it seems, writing letters, notes to the warden's office. And what I think happens here is a prison officer gets assigned them if they need any action. And that's where a prison officer starts writing back to him on these notes. He calls him a snitch twice, and Robert loses his head, tries to sue him, the prison warden, the prison for $50,000. And when he files this, he includes the 2 notes that the prison warden wrote snitch on. In the first one, the prison officer wrote down under the action part, I don't have time to be looking at 4 hours of video from some snitch note. And in the second one, down along the column, same thing again. He's just moaning. I don't know what he's moaning about for cameras to be looked at, but the prison officer writes down, you provide enough snitch notes that you should have your facts straight. If you're found guilty, you can lodge an appeal, which is unprofessional, but also kind of hilarious. And a lot of the stuff he has filed over the years don't have the court fees paid. Sometimes they don't proceed because of this. Sometimes they do, I think, depending on what they're about, if they're about health and stuff like that. This is the only time that I seen that I can remember that he paid the fees. Not cheap either. I think it's like $160 or something. But he's just annoying the judge at this stage. He then files a note to the judge saying he's harassed, tells him to have a look at the cameras. He loves telling people to have a look at cameras. The prison guard who was giving out the dinner skipped his cell, so he walked past his cell, and he said he gave everyone else their food first and then came to him last. So I think he was too paranoid to eat his dinner because he said that they stick toilet brushes in the food. His case was dismissed without prejudice and he got his court fees back, which I wonder, is that a sign that they were just sick of him and they washed their hands of him and moved him back to Westville? Like, did this trigger the move back to Westville? If it did, I can see him being relieved to be back there, but I don't think he's going to stop writing letters to the warden. He seems to have a thing for snitch notes and trying to make the warden like him. And it's just, if you have prison officer writing notes like this and then you're going to use that person for a confession, that's like surely a no-go. How could he come in contact with Richard Allen? There is a companion program whereby a trusted inmate, maybe someone who always snitches perhaps, goes to visit or walk past people in solitary confinement, people like Richard, so that they have some bit of human interaction. Ulrich has been placed on suicide watch, and I'm not sure, does this still continue? I heard conflicting things. I seen one person say that these companions or these helpers are removed once this happens, and I heard another person say no, they continue because they're so short of staff, they have no choice but to use them. But does it really matter if this is the guy who is involved in one of these confessions? It's just not a good look. If you showed us this guy's history and said he was going to be within 500 yards of Richard Allen, you could predict that a letter is going to be wrote to the warden about it. He also devalues other alleged confessions just by association. If he's lumped in with them, I'm like, if you're putting this one in there, I don't know, can I believe the rest? It just smells a bit desperate if that's the case. Waste of time. Like, can you not spend that time trying to find the other people you say are involved? I really hope there's no issue with Rick Allen's movements that day that make him look like he's bridge guy, because if that goes down, then I think it's one of the biggest things in the case. And when you see stuff like this, it's just, I hope I'm wrong, but they didn't bring him up the other day when they were talking about conditions. So, and I don't think the defence is stupid enough to use someone like this. And I think the prosecution could be, but I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. Let me know what you think. Good luck. God bless. I hope everyone has a nice day.